Hey, how's it going? It's Shelby with the Garden of Eater and Myra, of course. Today, unfortunately, Grant will not be with us. He is driving back. Obviously, he's in the chat saying his cake shake, ready to listen in. He will be driving from Global. Sorry, I am out of it. I have had a crazy day with all the kids and getting things ready on my side for Global. Uh, she has really loved this mic lately. So usually Grant's really good at getting her to not get it. Me, not so much. All right, bear with me for just a second. All right, Grant left me all alone for this topic, and I hope I do it justice. So please bear with me. Dave, Linda, Mike, and Essie Catahoula's Tank Girl, Benny Tay. Mike, if you could only have one 10-gallon tank, what would it be in it and why? So if I only had one 10-gallon tank, I think I would do Tangerine Tigers. I feel like they're overall like one of my favorite overall time favorites. It's like that middle shrimp. It's not a hard Carradino. It's not a Neo. And Neos are great and they, give you a lot of money, but Tangerine Tigers are interesting to look at. They breed really well. There's something cool and unique to have. And I enjoy them. They might be boring to some people when you look at some of the, metallic boas and things like that. But to me, I'm more of a plain person, I guess. So starting with the topic, what size tank is the right size tank for shrimp? And we could start with many ideas here, but a lot of the time it comes down to space and what you can put in. And that's limits a lot of people, and that's usually why people choose to do dwarf shrimp instead of anything else, is because they're limited on space and they don't necessarily have a tank that they could do for a giant cichlid tank. So most people have when they're doing shrimp, it is an apartment. So thinking of that, most people gear towards nano tanks, and usually nano tanks, the only thing you can put in them are like itty bitty nano fish or usually shrimp, because people don't, even the smallest nano fish, you kind of want them to school. So they still need like a bigger tank than a 10 or a nano. So nanos are really good. They're a good option for if you have little space. It's still something you can create a little environment out of. There's nothing wrong with it. It can get overcrowded really easily. That's the only downside to having a smaller nano tank. Usually some of the kits are pretty good and pretty reasonable on price. So it's a good one to go with. As much as you can fit in there. But make it like a little ecosystem. If you are to do a nano tank, that's when you'll have the most success with shrimp, is making it a fully planted tank. I'm going to say 100 times. I'm very sorry because I feel anxious. So please bear with my ums. Grant's probably counting them on the road as we speak. uh, but and then you go into the next size tank would obviously be 10-gallon tanks. Those are super duper cheap. Obviously, we're probably not going to have that option going forward, as we all know that Aqueon has stopped selling with Petco, I believe, and now are not doing those. Probably won't have that dollar per gallon sales. So those will probably go up in price. So who knows how cost effective those ones will be in the future, but 10 gallons are usually an overall good point. Obviously, we have several of them. They're a good size for if you want to breed multiple different varieties and have limited space. So you could put mini tanks in one area with 10 gallons, and they do breed pretty well. And Carradina, they don't mass produce so fast, so it's usually a really good size tank overall, that it doesn't get too overcrowded. And by the time it is, you kind of want to be selling those off, or maybe starting another tank with another variety. But let me get back into chat a little bit here. I don't want to get too back. Benny said, I'll hire someone to have 100 more tanks for me. One tank, I'll do a nice planet and some PRLs. Yep. Welcome in, everybody. Coro says, the right size shrimp tank, larger or smaller than the baby? I don't know. She's growing pretty fast. Welcome. No pressure. Thank you. Ocean blues are a great option too. They really are beautiful. If you're doing a Neo, I really do enjoy the ocean blues a lot. They're just like a slightly better blue diamond. Thank you, Scotty. Tank girl. Yes, Myra is getting big fast. Before I know it, she'll be running around. Don't want to get too far. Johnny Best gifted 1 Garden of Eater membership. Thank you so much, Johnny. Really appreciate that a lot. If you did get gifted a Garden of Eater membership, make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com and we will get that membership sticker and your discount code to you. Please bear with me. For the past 2 weeks, I have been nonstop filming, aquascaping, and traveling. So I am a little bit behind on all of the memberships, but we will get them out to you. So thank you for your patience. And thank you again, Johnny. So 10 gallons are not gone from Petco. They are going to be changing. It's just Aqueon itself. So they're going to go with their own brand, which is already there. I just can't remember the name of it. Someone might be able to tell you down in the chat. Phil said, if you could have only 1 10-gallon tank, it would be planted with CPDs and cherry shrimp. Then I'd have a couple dozen 20 gallons. Oh, PetSmart is going to be carrying it. That's crazy. I'll have to see that. That's really cool. Thank you, Big Steve. And of course, I have to intrude and say Big Shrimpin' from Grant, gifted 1 Garden of Eater membership. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, good. Night Owl Aquatic says Pet Supplies Plus sells Aqueon tanks on sale. They're cheaper than Petco sale. That's really good to know because obviously we're going to need more eventually. A Magitarian is, yeah, okay. Is that what Petco has now, which is just their brand of tanks. So who knows, but thank you for that. So the next size up, obviously we can go to 20 gallons, which now you lose a lot of space, but breeding does happen more and you do have a bigger population in a 20 gallon. But like I said, you do lose a lot of space for that. You could do a rack. They would do really well. You can also pair, when you get like a 20 gallon, you could do 2 different species in one tank. You could also try doing, fish in the tank with them if it's a heavily planted tank. So it could go a positive way. And she loves that fan and light here. And it would be worth it because you will have more breeding success with it, because a larger volume of water will have less fluctuations in parameters. So silly. All right, you gotta set her down. So you'll have less fluctuation, so it won't be so bad if like something is to arise. Like if some of the shrimp start to do really bad, have like a bacterial infection, and like a smaller nano tank that can go bad really fast, where a 20 gallon and up will definitely be easier. So but it also comes back to the point where whether you're doing Neos or Caridina, whether that's worth it for you or not, because if you don't have your RO unit yourself, that could become a real big issue doing a bigger tank for Caridinas. So getting the RO water from somewhere else instead of just in your house could be a lot more work. So you have to think about that too if you're doing Caridinas. Neos are a little bit easier, just doing tap water and being able to refill that tank with some prime, and you did a quick and easy water change. So that's also to think about when you're thinking about the right size tank. Um, and the next is 30 gallons. I do believe that any of the 20, 30s, 40s to 50s talls, really, you don't have to go that tall, especially if you're limited on space. Just go with the shorter because, I mean, shrimp will dance around the water, but they really don't necessarily need that. They kind of tend to stay towards the bottom. The only time they do kind of go around the tank is when, there's a water change and it's breeding season and they're kind of just like feeling a little frisky because of the water change. So you don't necessarily have to have any of those tanks talls. And the larger the water volume, like I said, the less water parameters shift change, and it equals more stability and then more room for them to populate. They might feel more comfortable in a bigger tank. Like some of our, like the tangerine tigers, for example, and raccoon tigers, they're all more of a wild type shrimp. They tend to be more wild, you would say. They do need a little bit more food to me. They seem to be more aggressive. That's something a lot of people see in a mono shrimp still, is that they're pretty aggressive when it comes to other shrimp, even in the tank, that they seem to pick on them. So having a larger tank for some of those wild shrimp can really do wonders. Like I believe that my 40 gallon of tangerine tigers outpopulates my 10 gallon so much more just because of the fact that they have a larger footprint. And that one's the shorter, like the breeding style 40s. So they're really nice. They have plenty of room, and that tank has been a solid breeding tank for us for years, and I've never had to worry about it. We don't touch it. We don't do anything fancy with it. It just breeds. It does really well. So I like 40s. If I had room, I would probably do a lot of 40s. If I had like a cool basement, probably would be 40s of these, just because they do really well. They seem to establish in a tank like that, and you really can't outsell them. And we sell a lot of tangerine tigers. There's times where it's low, and we do have to tap into like our several, like 6 other tangerine tiger tanks. But I would say that 40 really does really well. And then Laura says, has anybody tested their brand and compared? I don't think so. I feel like there's probably a couple people that can tell the difference, but I feel like it's probably not far off, honestly. It might even be the same company. A lot of times when, especially in retail, these tanks, like they could be identical or some of them are some, oh my gosh, my brain is not working. They are from the same factory, just slapped a different label on them. This happens constantly in the retail, and it usually happens for, like, say, Petco, for instance, is losing money on all of those Aqueon tanks because they have that Aqueon sale and people come for that. Well, if I don't have the Aqueon tanks available and I make them in Magitarium, now I don't have to honor the sale anymore. So it happens like that all the time. Like, I worked for other companies and they would just change the product so they didn't have to honor the sales on Amazon or anything like that, because they would find it on Amazon for a cheaper price and you'd have to match it. So it happens like that because they're losing money. And that's probably why they did this, is because they were losing a little bit of money with that. Garcia Aquatics member for 29 months. Thank you so much. I can't believe it's been that long. Says, well, hello, young lady and everyone in chat. I hope to see you soon. Are you going to be attending Aquapalooza? I am all over the place right now because lack of sleep. But Johnny Best, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says, you're doing fine. Don't worry. Thank you so much. I know I'm not as efficient as Grant when he can speak really well. I took acting. I took, a lot of things to get better speech, but I can't. Sometimes I just get too anxious sometimes. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's hope I fix this by the time we do the Keystone Clash talk, because if not, I'm going to have like a whole audience just like checking off the ums. Night Owl says the Imagitorian are still on sale as Aquion. The guy at Petco said the old tops don't fit the Imagitorian. Oh. That's weird. But yeah, that's good. Hopefully it's just because they improved it. That can happen too. Benjamin says, do any of your shrimp lay on their backs and look dead for a few days, but then recover? Happens to me and I'm afraid to remove the dead shrimp. So that most likely is they're struggling to molt. So something might be wrong with your parameters, or if you're not very putting a variety of foods in their diet, that could be causing an issue. So I would rotate in a mineral food or a calcium. That's the only time I usually see them laying on their back and then recover from it. If they're coming back, it's because they're just struggling to molt. So it's the same with like a crayfish will sometimes struggle to molt. And then you put like a cup of crushed chicken calcium shells. There you go. I'll get there. And it gives it extra minerals for them to molt. I've seen other people put like calcium, like those bird things, but I would just get the fish one. They have like calcium blocks, but I prefer Shrimp Envy has a mineral food. The Mineral Junkie is my favorite. That smells like celery. And that stuff is great. I have to throw that in every tank constantly because of it. And so back to the topic. But overall, with the tank size, choosing it, I would try to go as large as possible. So next is 50s. I enjoy the 50s. Most people get bored of a big tank like that with just shrimp in it. Obviously, that's for someone to like. Me and Grant prefer shrimp, so we enjoy them dancing around and filling out a tank. But like I said, you can double it up, try some inlers, try some smaller nano fish, and be able to have that. Oh, it's really cool and breeding at the same time, but you would need to heavily plant it or else put a bunch of stuff in there. I don't care if you planted it or put a bunch of PVC pipe for them to breed. But I enjoy the bigger tanks of shrimp. It's not an issue to me. And then, of course, anywhere up. I mean, we had a 190-gallon tank that was for shrimp. And that one was enjoyable to us because it was planted. And it was, wow, this is so crazy. And you only have shrimp in it. But I did get to the point where I did ask Grant a couple times where I wanted some fish in there because I was kind of like, it's such a waste of space. And it's like, can't they just get along? It would be so nice. So, yeah, it gets but that 190 did wonderful and was breeding hundreds of shrimp. They mostly lived in the sump, though. So that's also an idea if you have a big tank. Maybe put some shrimp in your sump and they enjoy and have a happy life down there. So, they'll be happy too. And then, of course, we have our tubs outside, which are very large and 100 gallons plus. And those do phenomenal because obviously they don't have that much fluctuations. They're really clean most of the time. They're outside is a big plus with the sun, but it's just that having so much room in there, you really can't overpopulate it. It can't be too many shrimp. I barely ever overfeed. It's very rare that I overfeed out there. So obviously the larger the volume, the more shrimp you're going to have. So if you can, obviously, let's put some ponds outside. I know the summer is coming up, so some of you could possibly do some larger tanks. But yeah, so I only talked for 19 minutes. I don't know how Grant stretches some of these topics out. He's just so knowledgeable about these things. And I'm like, all right, wrap it up while you keep talking. So I'm the worst with this. But, to wrap it all, it's obviously how much you want to spend on it. Like these tubs can get pretty costly, and they could be really cheap. I mean, some of our blue bins outside that we have are like $25-$40. I mean, that's a big difference, but don't count on me. But like, that's not too bad to spend on a big tub and then put like a few plants in it, and you got hundreds of shrimp by the end of the season, and you could be really happy. The only problem is when you have larger quantities and larger tanks, you do have to cull more often. I will have to say that is a lot more work. The bigger the tank, the more work there is. Not as much parameter difference, but you still do bigger, the water changes are a little bit more than a 10-gallon, obviously. And then culling can be a big problem. So like feeding them and then having to net them out and cull them. I do spend hours upon hours with some of our bigger tubs. So that could be an issue if you want to get to bigger sized quantities. It is harder outside than it is inside. In a like 55, you can usually, oh, I see one, and run over and grab it. That's not an issue. But like some of these tubs, you can't just physically see the, one little clear shrimp over here. So when you get into those larger quantity size tubs, just be aware of that could be more work for you. So it's really about the enjoyment, or whether you want to really enjoy your shrimp tank. That's why we keep it. Tins are nice for us. They say they're moderately easy to take care of, easy to scrape, clean, water change, and moderate breeding. You don't have to have mass-produced breeding in those. Laura said, we've been wanting to do more outdoor ponds for a while. You should. It's, even if you just do one little tub, I mean, they have affordable ones. You probably have like a feed store near you that's got ponds for horses or other things that are actually pretty cheap and affordable. And then, of course, like the Diamond Black blasting sand is pretty cheap and affordable, usually at a feed store as well. So there you go. It's like super easy to set up a little shrimp tank. There's some tiger lotus in there. Throw a handful of moss, and you got some breeding, and they'll do really well out there too. Because there's something about that sun that just, you can't recreate it in a light. Some people it gets close, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about that sun. It's just, perfect. Thank you so much. Everybody, let's take it easy with Shelby on hard questions. Thank you. Tank Girl said, what temperature does your outside tanks get in summer? It doesn't get too hot. So we do have some of the ponds that kind of do get a little bit hotter. Like the black tubs do get, like, they've gotten almost to the hundreds. Grant probably knows the exact temperature. But not the IBC totes are white. They don't seem to get too hot. Never to a boiling point. It's usually to the point where like a heater's pretty good, and they breed a lot faster, obviously, in the heat, and they die faster. So out in, the sun, will breed like crazy just because it is warmer. I would say typically, though, in the greenhouse, our ponds run about 79, 80 in the hottest part of the year. I don't think it gets too hot, because I mean, I can put my hands in it and it doesn't feel like, it's probably like hottest maybe 89 on average. But it never has. There is people, if you have like a short black barrel, I would be worried and concerned about how hot it can get. So be careful with those. Phil said, Shelby, have you ever done a video on summer tubs, planting, setup, etc.? So we have talked about our tubs, and we've done like a live stream talking about it, and just talk about our tubs outside, but not specifically summer tubs. I've also done a carnivorous bog video, which most people haven't seen, but that one's fun. It really did really well, but the weeds took over too fast. So I'm too busy for it. But one of these times maybe we'll do an actual video of like spotlighting summer tubs and, you know, let people know when the best time to put it out, how to set it up, what would do best. Most of our tubs outside are bare bone, by the way. They usually just have just substrate in them, and some of them have moss, not much more. We had hornwort in some, but not too much stuff gets in the way. Moss is just enough that it doesn't bother me. Like I can pick it out of the net and it's not a problem. King of DIY, Joey, thank you so much for the $10. How, wow, my life is a lie. Thought she only owned dresses. Unsubbing. Oh, man. I mean, I do own a lot of dresses. I could use some more. So thank you for the $10. It's going towards another one. Yeah, no, I've always kept fish and animals and things like that. A lot of people do get that misconception because I don't talk sometimes. I try to be social as possible, but sometimes I like to listen and observe more than I do like to communicate, in fear of saying something stupid. So yes, I do love these shrimp and I am pretty knowledgeable about it. But Grant's better at speaking about it than I am. So, but thank you so much, Joey. Scotty said, do you have to put a substrate in the tubs? Do you do water changes or just let the rain handle it? So we don't have to put substrate. A lot of the tubs we started without substrate completely. So there's no need. We like to put the substrate in it just for biofilm grows on any surface. So it helps them. They're constantly picking at things. So it helps a little. And their color stays true. So they look better when you put the substrate. Now we've had blue and black barrels and things like that their color does like a little bit better, but like our Rubbermaid tubs are black out there. So we don't really see the need to put substrate. I think Grant has mentioned a couple times to do so. I don't like substrate. So if you have like a black Rubbermaid, which they're a little bit more money than just like a little tub would be, because they're big, but I mean, they're still pretty affordable. Considering if you were to sell the shrimp, you could usually make your money off of the shrimp that you sell from that tub. So you got to think of it in the concept of, oh, well, I made the money back. So it's not really that much money. So you don't have to do substrate. It could potentially be better for like if you had a white tub or a lighter colored tub for you to cull. Those shrimp color up a lot more. So sometimes you could be like our green shrimp, for example, we had them in a whiter tub and they were really washed out and we were selling them as culls for like a good solid year. It felt like, and people were sending us pictures back was like, wow, this is a cull. And we were like, no, you just got like a really good shrimp. So we put a couple of the shrimp inside and they colored up really good. And we were like, uh-oh, we've been selling people really good emeralds for quite some time. So that's a part where you definitely want some substrate. It doesn't typically happen with the other colors like yellows and blues, pretty stay true. They don't really need much of a darker substrate for those really high quality ones. But I've seen reds do the same where they kind of look like they're a little broken pattern and I've brought them in on darker substrate and I'm like, okay, they actually do look good. So it can happen. And then as far as the water changes, we do water changes. So we have a video coming out. I completely forgot we haven't done this one either. We have a couple videos that are on the priority list to get out before the tub one. But hopefully I can get that out soon because tubbing is coming up. But we did do a whole new water change system in our backyard for the ponds. So you'll be able to see that and how we do the water changes there. So it's a little bit more efficient. Grant's able to get them done a lot faster with how many we have. Some of the smaller barrels, you could probably do if you knew it was going to rain quite frequently, maybe do like take some of the water out and let the rain fill it up. But like here, the tubs evaporate too fast for the amount of rain that we get. So I don't know. Really depends on your area. But rain's always a great way, especially like plants and stuff. Bugsy says, out of 24 tanks, some heated, some not. The consensus is that 74 degrees is best for my breeding. Yes. That is typically the best temperature for it. I bet big sunflowers would be good shades for tubs. Yeah, they would. Laura said, if you have a white tub, you do what? You do what substrate? Asking which substrate, or you want substrate. But I would say you would want it for culling purposes. I'm sorry if I was all over the place with that. I talk a little fast and I get ahead of myself. But yes, I would want substrate for like our IBC totes. We do have like, it's like the thinnest layer. It's not to bring down any parameters or anything other than aesthetics for the shrimp to be able to cull them, to know that they are a cull indeed. All my tubs are black. Yeah, then you're fine. There's probably no issues there. Mike said, what are some unheated aquarium Skittle mixes that won't cross? So you could do like raccoons with a Caradina, to Stardust, all of those three. They're not as colorful, but they won't cross. So you could choose like your favorite color Neos, and then the raccoons, and then Stardust, and what else doesn't breed with them? I know there's one more shrimp. Oh, the cheetahs. I haven't seen them breed with any of those wild ones. Tank Girl says, do you use sponge filters outside, and what about mosquitoes? So we do use sponge filters, and we use air stones because of mosquitoes specifically. You want to have the water circulating, because otherwise you'll have a bunch of mosquitoes, and that would be a no-go, especially here. That would be, I wouldn't want to go outside if we had that issue. We've had them with tubs, and that's when we just drop like a little air stone, but we have a big air system. So that's where people do do have issues. So a little air bubbler if you can. If not, then some sort of like pump pond, like just getting the water flowing. It doesn't necessarily have to have like a filtration system on it. Just the water moving would help. So, or a bunch of plants. Bugsy says you can also do Neos, Tigers, and Amanos together, no mixing. Yep, you could do that. I have heard Amanos getting aggressive, but it's worth a shot. They're so cool. I use solar pumps, $20. Oh yeah, see, those are cool. Yeah, that seems pretty effective. That's not too expensive. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Usually we can pass the baby back and forth, but he's not here for me to pass her back. So, but all right, I don't know much more to talk about. Hello, welcome in, Toonie. Much more to talk about on that topic specifically, just because it's overall covered. I don't know if anyone has specific questions. Yeah. But I use mosquito bits and zero mosquitoes. It has a component that only affects bugs. It's good for net inside too. I've never heard of that. I have to look that up. Mosquito mosquito bites. So I know that in our area, the mosquito control will go around, and if you have a pond that doesn't have a pump on it, they try to put a citrus, like a citronella, something in your, yes, in your pond. And Grant caught him one time and was like, "What are you doing in my yard?" Um, and was so upset. Like they were putting all these in. I can't seem to find it. Bits. Oh, huh. I've seen those before. Oh, you just put them around. They don't. They just go. That makes sense. This is entertaining. Skill hyper baby is streaming here. Thank you. She is a little like she wants to move tonight. Move and groove. She successfully ate like a half a jar of baby food the other night. Kiwi mango apple puree. She liked that one. She made a weird yeah. She made a weird face to it at first. But she overall ate it. I was very shocked. So it's a step. She is not one to start trying new things apparently. Yeah. Then if you look, I'm wearing Ashley's shirt tonight, Blue Mind Ecosystems, and then it says something different on the back. I love this shirt. I have not got to wear it since she was at the show with us, and we just went to the Aquamania. So that was fun. We got to see Ryan from My Wild Fish Tanks and Wild Fish Tanks, sorry. And we got to see Rob and Cherie from Shrimp Envy and Ashley from Blue Mind Ecosystem. So that was really cool. Brandon's the one who puts it on. Him and his family are lovely to deal with. Very nice people. So that was really nice. I know I'm forgetting a couple other people. I got these cool slug earrings. I mean, they honestly look so stupid from far away. So I will never wear these out again. But maybe I can turn it into something else, like, artwork. But they are so cute. Yeah. The kids got a bunch of 3D printed. It's fun. It was just a 1-day quick show. It was nice to see everybody. We went out to dinner with Brandon, who owns I Wet My Plants. Really cool. His daughter gets along really well with our daughter, and I just laugh because Layla's in for a whirlwind when this one starts running around. I don't think they grasp the concept yet. So, Johnny said, "Let's give Shelby a short to recover." I'm pretty recovered, honestly. I got some packages out today. I was very surprised that I got as many as I did out. There is still some people that will have to wait because you unfortunately got some of the shrimp that Grant exclusively catches. Like, I do not touch blue bolts in this house. That is a Grant thing. I will not box up or get those. So those will go out Saturday when we get back from Global. Phil said, I had a couple of monos in my red cherry tank. I had to move them. They were brutal at feeding time. Yeah, that's where I say that Amanos are really aggressive, is when it comes to food. Like, generally, Amanos are fine. They're not just going to go attack the other shrimp, but it is when they're feeding. They're just so much larger. So they're just that bully that just, like, pushes a smaller one around and is like, my food, not yours. They act like they're in, like, a food-stricken place, like they'll never get food again. It's just hilarious how shrimp act. I think it's funny when some of the shrimp like take a whole piece and run away with it, and it's like, how are you acting like you're starving, but like you've been fed every single day and you eat biofilm? Like, I don't understand why they act like they've never been fed before. Passing with the mosquito dunks are what we call them in Florida, and they're made of crushed up. I can't say that flower's name. I know what it is, but I can't say it. Thank you, Johnny. I use bits in the dirt in indoor plants and call them both. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like my 10-gallon setups. Yeah, they seem to be overall the best. Affordable wise, breeding wise, work wise, things like that. 40s are my next favorite. Because, like, why do the in betweens to me? Why am I going to do that little bit of extra work when I could just do a 40-gallon? And I like the footprint of the 40 gallons for some reason. They just look aesthetically pleasing. I don't know. They look cool. Do you do a death walk of all the tanks each day? Yes, we do try to do that. Most of the time, especially in a house this large and this many tanks, it can happen where we miss it. Most of the time, the other shrimps get it, and that's when it really sucks, is if there is something wrong and the other shrimp eat it, and then you're like not noticing that there's something wrong in the tank, and then you just come back and you're like, where are all the shrimp? There's not as many. So, yes, that is a good thing to do. Because I mean, it could just be a shrimp that was weak, old, things like that. Sometimes they just do happen to die. Sometimes there's ones that we have no idea why they died. It happens. Night Owl Clark said, "Are isopods, shrimp, and rabbit snails okay together?" Yes, they are. We have currently a tank with all three of those going. The rabbits are not breeding as fast as I would like them to, but we're still giving them some time. They seem to do much better in like Sulawesi parameters, like that harder water, obviously for that shell, a good calcium diet for them, and the warmer water. They seem to do a lot better in that than they do in like a 74-degree temperatures. They breed slower than normal. And remember, they only have like a baby at a time. So I think that they do better and warmer. So I have not tried our isopods in Sulawesi parameters, like that higher pH. Most of our tap water is a neutral pH or a little bit higher. So I couldn't say exactly which way you want to set that up and which one you want to breed faster, but they all breed. The isopods seem to breed really well in neutral pH with some minerals in the water, and make sure you get some calcium because they seem to do really well with that. Shrimp will breed really well in those parameters as well. The rabbit snails will just be a little bit slower. Scotty said 20 longs and 40 breeders are my favorites. Haven't had a 60 breeder yet, but I think it would be really nice. I really want to find a 33 long. Yeah, those would be cool. I do believe that I just like how they're shorter for those purposes. They seem to be good. I don't know, when I had like 30 talls, like they were okay, but it just seemed like I was wasting like a good foot of room for what? Like, even a lot of my fish would stay in like the middle. It's very like the only other ones would be like guppies that stay at the top. But I'm like, well, why do I have such a large tank if you're just going to be at the top anyways? So I felt like I do like the look of 30s, but never found them useful, honestly. But other than that, I think this week we do have global. So we will have I have a bunch of aquascaping videos coming out. I had a little fun with these ones. It seemed to be a lot of people, they might not have liked the video, but a lot of people did tune into my Valentine's Day video with my crazy hair. And it was an overall really good scape. So I did have some fun with these other ones that I did for for global. So stay tuned for those. And I'm working out something with Grant for giveaways. And a little spoiler, I was trying to do it this month. I don't know if we'll be able to. We might have missed it. I think this month is about to be over. But But going forward, what we're trying to do is going to be the live streams for the month. That we'll have 3 live streams that we'll talk to you about a topic, learn about a topic, and then the last live stream of the month will be a trivia of the things we had learned for the whole month, and then how many points you get, and then whoever wins gets a prize. Butchering this, it will be really cool. I kind of got that idea from, like, I enjoy watching Steven and Jenna's live stream with the aquarium talk and all the fun that they have with the what's the fish. Like, I enjoy that so much. So I thought it would be fun to do like a little trivia, because we kind of always talk about shrimp and teaching you about shrimp. Sometimes it gets a little boring, so I thought maybe having a game once a month of all the stuff we've learned would be exciting, and hopefully people can get some cool stuff and win some cool stuff. He's so cute. He's cute. She's got them eyebrows, man. Phil said, sort of off topic related. We had a speaker at the club last weekend talking licorice gourami endangered varieties that can be bred in 5-gallon tanks. I'm looking at using some of my nano tanks for them. Yes, so the gouramis, especially like any wild gouramis, seems like the smaller ones, they don't need much room, so they usually can breed in smaller tanks. Like the licorice are pretty small. I've seen people put them in huge tanks and never see them again, and they don't seem to do well. And I've seen people successfully do them in at least 10 gallons. I don't know about nanos, but if someone's done it, obviously it can be recreated. They do like black water for sure. That's what I would say about those licorice gouramis. They are awesome, and they just feel comfortable in black water, so you'll probably just have more success. I know some people don't like the looks of it, so it's all up to you, but I would say lower light and they'll do great. I love licorice gouramis. Johnny said, Shelby, if ordering 10 shrimps for 10 gallons, is it just catch any or not have time for male to females ratio? Yeah, we don't normally have time to. A lot of people do request male or female, but we usually tell them we can't, because what we're doing is usually sending you juvies, because they're a lot hardier. So most of the time you will just get smaller ones. I can't sex them that small. It would just take forever for me to figure that out. And sometimes they're not sexually mature at the age that I'm shipping them out. So I don't really know. There are times where I know I throw in a couple females, but it's pretty rare that I can do that. Most of the time they're just small enough that I really can't tell. Hello, Dr. Anthony. It's getting Nona. Licorice are more touchy too, I find. Yeah, that's why I say like the black water seems to do a lot better for them. Anyone that I've known that successfully have kept them and bred them have been in a black water setup, because it's not as bright. I don't know what it is. It must just because that's what most of these fish are found in black water. It's very rare that you find too many species in crystal clear water. I mean, there is like some Killies fish, but a lot of times like the same Killies fish that is in crystal clear water a lot of time of the year is in heavily tannin water. So, it's all about getting them comfortable. Scotty said, I'll be setting up a Sulawesi shrimp tank this week. Any suggestions? I bought a bag of aragonite. Yay! Now, I do 50-50 crushed coral and aragonite sand and mix it together. Aragonite will just be fine, though. And then I enjoy lava rock. My first Sulawesi tank was super successful. I loved it so much. I miss it. And it's like such a basic tank. It's nothing to, rant and rave about. It was just a 10-gallon, and I piled red lava rock, all in it. Because when you find Silhouette shrimp in the wild, if you've ever seen Chris Lukov's video, is under big rocks or hidden in under big rocks. They pick them up and they scoop them. I don't think that's in Chris's video, but in one of the videos before that, is how they would catch them. So I was like, they really don't like to be bothered and they're always hiding. Obviously, they have bigger predators out in the wild, but shrimp will always feel that way. And it'll take them time to adjust. So the piles of rocks worked really well for me. They go in and out. It's great for the biofilm. It grows on it. I did when we did our 75 gallon, or was it it was a 50 gallon. I can't remember how big it was, but Chris Biggs has a video on this tank and I loved it so much. It was the creme de la creme of our tanks. I can't ever get over these Silhouette. But we left the lights on for quite some time to mature the limestone. We did limestone in those ones because obviously they need a higher stable pH. So we did a bunch of limestone all over it, made it like aquascaped it. And then I left the lights on for quite some time to mature the rocks to get algae on them so that they have something to pick on, because where Silhouette are found, they also have a bunch of algae on the rocks. And I figured this might make them feel a little bit more at home and more in their own environment. And then, of course, we always recommend rabbit snails for the tank. For some reason, when you put rabbit snails in a Silhouette tank compared to one without it, they seem to come out a lot more and be more social. I don't know if it's because they see that a slow-moving object is now out and about and not worried about being eaten by predators and moving around. So, I can come out. So that's my theory. Or it could be because they like to eat after the snails because they leave a bunch of mucus and muck, which I really think is funny if you've seen the new trend of snail mucus being used for face cream. Crazy. It's really cool though. I could talk Silhouette all day though, Scotty, if you ever need any help. I cannot wait for my tank to be done one day. Sid the Dude. I can't get over that name. It's so funny. Okay. Can Orange Eye Blue Tiger be kept with 24 karat Neos without breeding back to the wild color? Yes, because Orange Eye Blue Tigers are a tiger and the 24 karat are Neos. So they can be kept together and they won't breed. The only thing is the Orange Eye Blue Tigers will breed a little bit slower than they would in unless you have the Neos and the Caridina parameters, then you could do that. I would say Neos tend to also breed slower in lower pH and the Caridina parameters. If you have it right in the middle, you'd probably do pretty good with both of them. So it really depends on how you set up your whole tank. Dr. Ted said an easier pygmy gourami is a sparkling gourami, loves the bubble nest, underwater lily leaves in tubs. Yes, I love the sparkling gouramis. Those are pretty too. I like any wild fish, honestly. Like, I feel like when you have a wild fish and it's got color to it, it just makes it that more magical. I know we have all these, bred out to be color specific fish, but like, I look at a molly and then I look at a wild molly and I'm like, I want the wild molly. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I just enjoy nature on the way it is. And I don't know, but I think that they're just really beautiful. It's something beautiful about it. So Dr. Ted, any new colorful varieties of Neos coming into the market from overseas? I have not seen anything yet. We don't typically keep up with imports. This would be a better question for someone like, he doesn't do social media, so I don't know how you'd get a hold of Eric from Bipet Shrimp. I know he does. I don't know anyone that actually imports. Maybe Flip Aquatics would be able to tell you. Just because we don't do imports, I'm not really up to date on what they're bringing in and what they're having mass produced enough. I know there's people that have been showing those posts about those orange eyes and Neos, and I still don't believe it. I will not believe it until I actually see someone that can sell them and they're actually orange eyes. They're not like a deficiency in the shrimp itself. Welcome in, Jesse. Scotty says, I'm thinking lava rock heater and some Java fern in Anubis. They do okay in warmer water, 10 gallon. Yeah, so Java fern's a hit or miss. We have tried several things. We did have moss that's growing in it pretty well. Anubis will probably do okay. They don't seem to grow very well, though. They do good in warmer water. It's the harder water that is the issue. So I hope they do well for you. Please let me know if they do. Maybe it's my water parameters and something wrong that it doesn't like it. I've seen other people have harder water and their Java ferns in Anubis did really well too. So I'm going to cross my fingers for you. Any plant will do phenomenal, for the shrimp themselves as long as it survives. So hopefully it does. Yes, and 100% always need a heater. That is the one shrimp you will always need a heater for because they do not like it below 80 degrees. They will survive for a little bit, but they'll slowly die off. We had tried to convert our Sulawesi at one time to 74, 75, thinking that they would do okay and just not breed as fast. And it was because the heater went out and we just didn't put a new one in. And it was gradual over time, but it just didn't work. They just stopped breeding completely. So that one, 100% you need to have a heater for. No questions about that one. So Dedu said, I've seen sparkling gouramis the other day at the local fish store. They're beautiful and cool. They were also housed with scarlet batis too. Super cool nanofish. Yeah. Scarlet batis are one of the coolest, just naturally pretty fish. That color on that is just insane. And they're so cute. So Dedu said, what's your guys' power bill, by the way? So it's not as bad as you would think. Sometimes it gets up into 400. It's pretty midsummer. It will get up into the $400 range, but most of the time it's $370. It's really changed over the years for some reason. I think maybe we put an extra couple tanks in the house and don't realize that's bringing up the power supply, but most of the time it could be just playing on the Xbox and both TVs running and everything else. The LEDs really don't cost that much. Back in the day, when we actually had a pool, which I know it's crazy to think that we had an actual swimming pool, the water or the electric bill was almost the same. Anyways, we do not run that pool pump anymore, and now it is just a pond pump. And then the pump outside that powers all the air. And then we've added hundreds of tanks with LEDs. And then we only have the air-driven, tank sponge filters. So we have, I can't remember if it's 9 Alitas in the house running. But we run them pretty efficiently. Sometimes the lights are off for a couple days while we're traveling. They don't draw much power to begin with. Our AC is probably the most power drilled thing. That's why it kind of gets up into that price, is because the AC is working overtime in Florida. If we were in a semi-cold weather, maybe it wouldn't be so high. It'd probably be a little bit lower, but but we're only in an 1,100 square foot home. And you got to take that into toll that some basements are 1,100 square feet. I really couldn't believe someone came and told us that their basement was 1,000 square feet. And we're over here that's almost our home. And we have 500 tanks. And It's insane. So it's possible for some of you. uh, Johnny says, I have sparkling gouramis in my 20 long. They seem to be sad. I wonder if I put them in a 10-gallon would behavior change. Maybe. Do you have them in black water? Because I do think that is a big thing. It's just because it makes it darker and like a warmer, and they don't see as much reflections. And, you know, some of these fish like to be hidden under the pieces of wood in the rivers and things like that where they're found, or they're mainly found in like leaf litter ponds where they come from. So it could help just a little bit with their behavior too. I do notice that sparkling gouramis, licorice gouramis, they don't seem to be, they're not a guppy. So they're not going to be super swimming up to you. They're more of, no, I have a neutral pH. Yeah. Maybe soften the water maybe a little bit. They might, but I don't think it would change their behavior much, just because I think they have that personality, just like guppies have their own personality to Oscars to, you know, CPDs. All of them have their own personalities, whether they're overly friendly, like I need food, or I want to hide. That's kind of like the Sulawesi shrimp. They tend to hide more than the other shrimp. But getting them more comfortable did help bring them out a lot more. So maybe more hiding spots might make them happier. Jesse said, my fish room is a 1,000 square feet. I could fit 500 if I did all 10s, but I like my ponds. Exactly. Right. Yeah, the ponds are worth it though. Those look cool. Like those are definitely worth it. Yeah. I think that's like where, we haven't truly decided when we do get an airplane hangar or like want to move and start a new facility. I don't think we've 100% decided on the size of the tanks, or whether we would do ponds on the inside, going down. We'll probably not do it on the inside. We'll probably just IBC tote it outside around the around it. Honestly, because like, what are we gonna do? Just get rid of the IBC totes? No, we're just gonna just move them and set them up. You know, like those are expensive. We're not gonna get rid of those. Yeah, yeah. I feel like they all have their own, you know, different way. They might not be the over friendly, but they're still very interesting to watch. Lots of floating plants. That's also a good thing because that blocks a lot of the light. So that would help. Instead of doing the black water, the floating plants would help block a lot of light out. CGO, he has 11. Pretty much. I don't, you know, yeah, there's not much house left. Um, you can do a lot of things with the IBC toes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way they're not coming with us, whether they're going to be for, you know, shrimp or who knows. Maybe we get into guppy farming one day. Who knows? I feel like, you know, this last show was the first show in a long time that I've seen a lot of guppies at. And we were right next to Diana Wallstead, which is an honor, honestly. Like, she's such a lovely lady. And welcome home. And she had guppies that looked like my mosaics that I had gotten nebulous steels that I had gotten off of Mississippi Hippie, and were gorgeous. And she had a bunch of them, and I was like, I really got to get those. And like, before I could even think to go over and ask her, like, she had, you know, set up and like the show had gone. They were gone. Everyone loved them. They were gone. So guppies are definitely a thing. You don't see at every show, but they definitely need to be at every show because they're just an overall good fish. Like, I feel like guppies, if it's not shrimp to me, I love guppies so much. And we need a lot more varieties. Mandakas are goated. They are amazing, honestly. Grant loves them so much. I like the Japanese. It's got a name to it. I'm not that fancy. It's the Japanese blue ones that shimmer from the top. Now those are cool. I enjoy watching those outside. Um, it is about to be season, so hopefully we can get those going again. And he's got some like orange ones that look kind of nice, things like that. But still a guppy fan. I like my Vienna guppies. Those things are cool. And if you saw Lady Diane's pond of Vienna guppies, you would agree. They're so cool. And Al said I got some of her rainbow guppies. Oh, I'm jealous. They're so cool. So the dude, Diana's awesome. I've been plotting on making a Wallstead bowl. You know, I really wish we could do. I hope she can come down and do a talk, and then she could do a bowl while she's there at our club. We've been trying to get her. She doesn't really travel like that. And you should have seen Ryan, John, and Grant like trying to talk to her and like convince her to come to our club. Oh, just so cool. She's very interested, so I'm very excited. We'll at least get her book. So if you ever get a time, that's a good read for sure. I do have to add a cold water room though. Yeah. Is everything warm in that one? You could do a cold water room and put a bunch of axolotls. Dr. Ted said Diana is a legend. Her book is essential. A different take. Mm-hmm. It is really cool. I just enjoy things like that. I enjoy the different methods in the community. I think that everyone can find their own niche and their own way to do things. I mean, let's get real here. If I had a cichlid and a gold gourami and a 30-gallon tank for years, and I was washing that out monthly with Dawn soap and filling that back up with tap water, there's other ways of doing fish tanks. They can survive. I mean, they might not be doing that great, but they're doing good. I mean, you would not even tell that my Oscar had to recycle constantly. That thing was huge. My gold gourami was happy. I still can't believe that today. Like all the knowledge that I have soaked in over the years, and to know that I was doing that is blasphemy. It's actually crazy. Oh, you wanted me to? Oh, you got to get in your spot. You didn't want to sit over in my spot for the day. You got to make me move. And then Dr. says Diana's books link above. She is at the AGA convention often. Oh, thank you for dropping in her link. Yeah, she's. You want to take her so I can move over?
Yes. Take her. I haven't had her all day. I woke up and left. Didn't get her at all.
Yeah, she's been having a rough day. Oh, she's like, oh, that's Daddy. Sorry. Jesse said, howdy, Grant.
How's it going, everybody?
I did an awful job.
No?
Jesse said, that's why I'm doing a cold
I was
water.
counting the ums. There's something else that I meant to comment on, too. I can't remember what it was. My phone died, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes ago, so I've missed quite a bit.
No, it didn't get any better.
I'm glad, though. The only thing that I forgot today was the cell phone charger.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, today was...
I mean, it's not like when we went to the Florida State Fair and forgot all the plants for our planted tanks. That's closer, too. Orlando's 2 hours.
Today was a very successful day, though, I would say. All the tanks have water in them, and I don't think they've ever had that where on Monday all the tanks are filled.
No, usually you're struggling to get around.
And fish are in all of them. So
nice. I'm excited to see that tomorrow. Jesse said, yeah, that's why I'm doing a cold water room, breeding axolotls now. But yes, my main fish room is in the 80s. Yeah, that's great for the other fish, but not Hey, she just noticed he's home. Oh, that was the cutest. Hey, ever. Oh, she melts my heart. She's so cute. She's getting really good with the haze lately. Like Layla walks into the room and she goes, "Hey."
There's plenty of plants left over, so we've got some tweaking to do in the morning, but it should be really easy.
Good. Yeah, he did a good job with scapes. I was so proud of him. I didn't have to be there.
It's easier and harder at the same time with what I did today. Because should I just dive in? Or are we in the middle of something already?
Okay. Skipper said, "Oh, look."
Hey, I'm not late. I'm actually here, and I didn't think I was going to make it at all.
Yeah.
I got dinner on the way home and had a nice conversation with Michael Bello before the live stream happened. So
I hope he's doing okay.
He's doing better now. So
Johnny Best, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Grant is back, my brother. It's the only way I can read that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting Shelby know she was doing good earlier. I appreciate that.
Bugsy said you held it down. Don't be hard on yourself. Thanks, Bugsy.
Yeah, no, you did good. There wasn't anything that made me cringe. There was something.
The whole thing was cringing. That's why you didn't notice when you cringed harder.
There's something where somebody asked a question and you kind of beat around the bush for a second, but then you answered it, and I was like, "All right, she got it." Like,
I'm just pulling at you. You got to talk about it a little bit longer, right? I remember my first talk for the Tampa Bay Aquarium went so fast. Like, you're supposed to speak for like an hour. I think I spoke for like
15 minutes.
15. I was like Donnie off of the Wild Thorn Bears. It was bad. And I was like, did I forget anything? And I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, I did. Like an hour later. So my bad. I get really anxious, and as fast as my heart races is as fast as I want to talk. So Johnny wants, can we get Grant's dive into today's topic?
I think Shelby really just did the best on it, where it is go for as big as you can with the size and budget that you have. I think she did a better job at covering the budget than I would have. And then the amount of work too, when she talked about like the larger tanks are going to be more work, that a larger Carabina tank, if you don't have an RO unit, that's carrying more buckets of water. I think you did a really good job there. I don't think I have anything different to say than what Shelby had already said. When we realized that I wasn't going to be here for the live stream, Shelby was like panicking and was like, I already scheduled the live stream. It's a topic already. And I was like, well, what is it?
That's exactly how I sounded, by the way.
When we saw what it was, she's like, oh, I got that. So yeah, it was great.
No, I said I might got that.
No, you said,
I might.
Oh, I got that. She had it. She did a great job. I missed the
you still late.
30 minutes of it, but yeah, no, I thought I was gonna leave at 9:00 when they kick us out, because we've been like last year. I think it was pretty cool.
We had escaped huge
before,
tanks though.
There was like a 14 or 16 foot ladder left in my location that somebody probably should put away, and I decided to stand on top of it. I can get like a good bird's eye view of like the entire place, and you're clearly the only one in there at that point. And Jonathan left just before I did, and I went and filled up JBJ's chiller tank.
So they must have just been pretty efficient this time.
I
set up.
I do think that the layout and everything like that
is nice.
Breaking it out, they've realized what needs to get done right away, so that way the next step can be done behind it. And it takes time just figuring that stuff out with a new team or a new layout and whatnot. So yeah.
Thank you again, Johnny's Best, for gifting another Garden of Eater membership. It is Grant's turn to do the spiel.
So whoever got that gifted Garden of Eater membership, courtesy of Johnny Best. Please reach out to us via email at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. Please send us your name, address, YouTube name as well, and we will send you an all-exclusive holographic TGOE sticker, as well as a 10% off code to our website, tgoeshrimp.com, where we are currently running a sale. Everything is buy 10, get free 3, and spend over $100 to get that free shipping.
It's actually really good. Like, honestly.
Well,
like,
that's why
I should
they
just
pay
have
me
like
the
a
big
button.
bucks, you know?
Get out of here. Your dad's funny, isn't he? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That was really good. Thank you again, Johnny. Dr. Test, who wouldn't love a live feed with a cute baby? Right? She makes it all better. Like, no one, even if I stumbled, the baby made up for everything else. You know, like any mistakes I had, she was pretty cute. So they're like, at least there's a cute baby.
You mentioned the show that we did this past Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do a full recap on that, or were you just like touching
I was
on it
just
for a
kind
second?
of trying to fill the void.
We saw a subscriber customer at Buc-ee's on the way to a show.
Forgot about that.
And I felt so bad because my hearing's horrible. I had just woken up not long ago, drove maybe 10, 20 minutes, and then the Buc-ee's were there because this little one had to eat. And I'm out of it. My hearing's horrible. And I hear something about a baby, and I just see a lady, and I'm just like, oh.
It was Heather.
Baby. And yeah, she had said, oh, I get to see
husband.
the baby after all because they were missing the show to go to a wedding. And
no, to go see their grandbaby.
All right, same thing. And so yeah, they missed the show, but they got the meet Myra, and then we saw her husband inside the store, and it was
he was like waking up by then. By the time he saw the husband, he was like,
I remember both of them.
Okay. Like, it's sometimes we see so many people at the show. Is like, you know, I'm not thinking I'm ever gonna see someone out in public, especially like sleep deprived, on the road, exhausted, making sure I'm keeping track of all the babies and not lose Grant, because I will lose it and panic in a big store like Buc-ee's. And then someone to say, let me see the baby. And I'm just thinking this is some random person at first because I can't see that well. These fool you. I don't see past 20 feet. Okay. It's not the best. But I just, what a coincidence. Like, how is that even supposed to happen? Like, that was insane.
I told Shelby afterwards, I was like, damn, we should have popped open the trunk and been like, well, you're missing the show, but come on over here. I got raccoon tigers, tangerines, stardust, every color neocaridina. You want plants? I got plants. I could have done it up. Maybe somebody else in the parking lot would have been like, oh, what's he got going on over there? Oh, it's aquatic plants.
That is so weird. But it's so funny. I gotta tell you something about the live stream. You gotta remind me. It's so funny.
I'm gonna remember.
Oh, I know.
I don't know how I have this much energy.
You know what I've
now.
actually said on the live stream multiple times about being a rapper and my, rap name. There's a rapper named Shelby K. Yes, and she is a redneck as can be. And I just started laughing so hard. I wanted to send it to you and be like, see, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. And Skipper said Shelby did awesome without Grant. We'll leave it at that. So thank you. Welcome in with. Oh. Alberto says, some of the Bloody Marys have the back line. How difficult it is to get rid of that trait by culling, and how long?
So here's the thing. Bloody Marys shouldn't have a back line. A lot of the breeders and sellers and stuff like that will just rename red cherries that are like that deep bright red and sell them as Bloody Marys. So, I mean, not to be said that you couldn't cross red cherries with Bloody Marys, and at that point, technically, the genetics would be more on the chocolate side, which would be more dominant, but that red cherry backline is also very dominant. So even when culling it out of all the adults, the babies could still have it in the future.
I thought there's something wrong with her face, but it's my lipstick.
There,
I was worried.
there's a reason why you can't find any yellow Neos anymore without the back line. Like once you get it, it's pretty like impossible to
get rid of it.
Yeah, it's dominant.
And your quality might just go down. I would believe if you were to try to get them out of it and just take, the plain reds out of it. You could, but welcome in, Stephen P. Grant pop in the trunk. Bugsy. I find the back lines pop out easier when you cross cherry with Bloody Mary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like the original Bloody Marys, and if you make your own Bloody Marys from chocolates, like none of my chocolates or Black Rose have backlines. So that backline had to been introduced somewhere. So
which is crazy to think about because I have wilds that look like chocolates with backlines because, that would be the only way to get a brown shrimp with a backline. But we're caught back up.
All right, today's day. Woke up early and headed out on my own. I probably only woke up Shelby like 15 times before I left the house.
That's how I wake up, though. You were like the 15 alarms that I set.
I'm sorry. I woke this one up too like 3 times probably.
Yeah.
She's a little heavier of a sleeper, but and I drove to Orlando Global Pet Expo. Shelby had already set up a bowl for some opaula shrimp.
You're not supposed to say it.
I don't know why.
Because I spend hours doing a video.
Well, now they'll look forward to doing the video. But that was already prefabricated. We dropped that off at the Phillips booth, and there was another tank there. Fluval has these new rimless, like 20 gallons. I think there's like a 30 and a 50 or 40. I think they're like they use the P because there's like a 90P, and I don't know if that stands for pints or what that dimension actually is or what's going on there. But they're nice rimless tanks. I like them. They had them on a stand. Comes with a light, and they now have their canister filters have clear tubing. So that was cool, especially when priming the filter. You actually saw that it was doing its job and primed. And you weren't just praying that it's going and you're not just pumping nothing.
The entire canister filter is clear?
No, the hosing.
Oh.
And then
it'd be so much cooler to have cool, clear canister.
Yeah, that would look gross.
Yeah,
probably,
you're right.
You need to clean it.
You're right.
You don't want to see that part.
You would be good if you had a clear one with a sleeve that goes over it, so you can see what's going on with it. See if it's too bad and gross, and then be able to cover
and then
it.
Sell them with interchangeable sleeves. Get your Beto one, your shrimp one, your TGOE one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, we're onto something here. We'll have to tell Fluval tomorrow.
But then they also have these hardscape kits, and it comes with a I can't remember what it's called, but it's like it adds more depth. It's like a layer of rock, like a
cool.
Yeah, so it's
layer.
2 bags of base rock basically, but it's like lava rock, not base rock.
Mm-hmm. Is it in bags?
Yes, 2 separate little bags. And then there's a bag of like planted substrate or plant gravel. And then so I put the 2 layers of the 2 bags of base rock down, then the planted rock down, and then it comes in with a bag of black sand. And I sprinkle the sand out so that just kind of levels it all, the whole playing field out. And then sloping it front to back. And then it's got another bag, depending on the color of the rocks, there's 3 different kits. There's 2 different kinds of, there's a detail sand and then a detail rock. And It's not exactly enough for the size tank. I would like a little bit more sand, but it is very convenient to have it. And with what I had, I was able to accomplish really nice aquascapes still. And it's nothing extravagant. Like I could coach just about anybody how to do those scapes and make them look good. There's no wood in there, but it does also come with like 20 plus pounds of rock. I don't know exactly how much pounds of rock. It's like a 47-pound box, I think. And each rock is the detail rock and sand is dependent on that rock, so they all match to go together. So no more Hulk smash. And I kind of told Jonathan, I was like, "Hey, dude, you're kind of taking away my signature move."
You're fun.
But yeah, it was pretty quick to whip them all together. The hardest part though was planting. Like that's what I'm. But they also have the fluval stratum. So if you're going to, like, I didn't use any stratum for 3 out of 4 of the tanks. So if I would have used stratum in the back beforehand, before I planted, because I scaped them all and then planted. So in the future, I would do like a good layer of stratum in the back for all my stem plants and everything like that. So, but they were all nice. I slapped my bowl together really easily. I did something slightly different. I used those pinnidifidas on the wood, and the one straight one kind of floated, but it floated up into the bowl. So it looks like you're just peering underneath a log in the scape. So it kind of worked out. And then the other one behind it kind of floated into it. So they're both just kind of stacked. And then the other one was floating. And I was like, well, I'll just glue this one to a rock.
So what you're telling me is you dropped a log in the water.
Tree logs.
Wow.
And a scape, and then filled it up with water. Is this your water?
Dropping logs.
Oh, avoid that.
Lipstick. Yeah. Your daughter so graciously got me that. She helped me get the live stream started.
Oh,
I was taking care of the baby and everything. So, have a good night, Ted. And CMP says Jenna enjoys her series of alarms as well. Yeah, I have one to wake up Jaden, one to tell Jaden to go to school, and one for Layla when she's going. And then before it was one for me to wake up, then Jaden, then Layla, then school, then work, then sometimes I snooze it 3 times every 15 minutes because I know that it's going to take me that long to get up. I struggle. I'm like that. I don't know, like that bear crawling out of hibernation is a good way to put on how I get up out of sleep.
So on top of that, Shelby also scaped 2 other tanks. She did them from home. And I planted one of them. And Shelby was like, "What do you mean you planted one? I filmed it all,
I forgot about that one already.
I just slapped it together without asking her. And I was just like, I thought I was planting them and you were scaping them. I thought we agreed on that. I thought we talked about that. I only
spent hours filming.
Thought that was the plan. Don't know where I missed out on the rest of the logistics.
So you know what's going to happen is now you're going to have to do and be a part of my video for that one specifically at Global.
Yeah, if we can figure out how to make that happen, we'll do it. But I planted it out with some moss. The moss stayed. And I would just want to say, if we would have done it any other way, it would have been wrong. Because the beta light for that tank, it's like a beta natural glow. It's not like a bright light.
Oh, so it's perfect for Subaru and moss.
And it's a great moss light. It would be great for some Anubias, some boost, but that scape, the boost Anubias that we had, was way too big for it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe one of the boosts would have been real nice around the front, but I used it in the Sirius Stone for the Fluval scape set. I used all purple and dark plants with bright plants in the background. So it needs to clear up, but I liked it.
Just
there's plenty of plants left, but like Jonathan was like, "No, I'm happy if you're happy." Or I said, "I'm happy if you're happy. You're the boss." And he's like, "No, they got plenty of plants. They all look good." We brought our own plants too, so like it kind of probably evened out with what we didn't use.
Yeah. You told him about we got sent terrestrial plants.
Yeah, he saw that.
They are cool.
He went behind me.
So cool.
He went behind me and like added a bunch of extra stuff. So there's a possibility like he just accidentally hit an extra 20 somewhere and got 20 portions of whatever that is. So I brought it home. I brought the Landon tank home also. That wasn't needed. And then I got the QB already on the counter for you to escape tonight. You're the one that told me to bring it home. I carted that thing through the parking lot.
Not that one. I'm talking about the other. Like, because there's so many tanks from this one again. We're gonna have to start selling some tanks. So if anyone's looking for some aquascapes, hit us up. Dr. Anthony says, just eating carrots. I found a cool recipe that they have for carrots, and they like thinly slice them, like you've seen those like cucumber slices, and then they put it all in this like juice and stuff. It's like super good for your eyes, and now that's all I like craving. So thanks for bringing that up.
But like tomorrow, the other scape that Shelby did, somehow one of the sides is floating just a wee bit. I was thinking even like a dragon stone wedged on the glass in the back. It would be tucked behind the jungle valve, so you wouldn't see it. I think that would get it to sink.
Jungle valve? We're supposed to do Java ferns.
I did Java ferns on that side. Jungle valve on this side. Java ferns on both sides.
Yeah, it even said it on the bag. I wrote it on the bag.
I couldn't read what was on the bags. It all smushed together, and I was like,
I feel that it looks so stupid now.
From the guy, because there's even like plants.
No Java fern.
There's plants listed as Java fern. I'm like, these aren't Java fern. So I thought it was the company like trying to label it. What'd you say? What'd you say? Please tell me what.
There's still more Java fern.
Oh, there's a lot more. Okay. There's a lot of plants.
Oh,
so if you want to go back and you want to make the video and be like, look what the frick he did. He messed up my tank, and then you can come back. You can come back and tweak it and fix it. Yeah, it should be good.
Oh, that's so funny.
But the Opalula tank cleared up. That looked great. And I escaped the 4 tanks with those kit setups. 2 of them were pink rock. I escaped with pink rock.
I know, and you're not one to escape with pink rock. I would have been in heaven.
And the pink rock was the easier of the 2, I think, for me to escape with.
You know what's funny is I
don't think they looked as good as the other ones that were harder to work with.
The wooden. I think the fluval kits are cool, but without the wood, I think they wouldn't be as good for that size tank.
They don't have wood.
Right.
So
I think, it's a general consensus that most places that sell wood struggle to sell wood because like they just vary so much, and people and could you imagine having hundreds of pieces of little tiny spiderwood and having to take a photo of each one and posting each one? It's too much work for some of these bigger companies.
This is how I feel about the kits,
stores only,
right? Mm-hmm. Because looking at the rocks, I was like, oh man, this is going to be really, really hard to escape with, right? But then Fluval's got a couple bins of wood to use for their scapes. And I just went through it, and you could just pick a centerpiece and match it with the right color. And then it was so easy to put together based off of the wood. Yeah. Like, I'm not one to do the river stone, but what's the easiest way to do a river stone? Tree trunk. Mm-hmm. Tree trunk with a little bit of river rock, and boom. One rock, the biggest rock out of it, didn't go match. And I was like, how do I do this? It brought me back to the mountains, just seeing that one like bead of red through the middle. I was like, all right, this is going to be like the center layer that will be the only one that has that. The rest won't. Mm-hmm. And it could still be right. And it came out looking really good.
Johnny said, just Pisces sells wood. Yes, they do, but not online. So they sell them to like the stores, but not online because of how much work it is. It's just you can't just post a piece of spiderwood because so many, like I probably have like 12 medium-sized pieces of spiderwood in the garage, and they're all medium-sized, but I can't do anything with them, or I have to hack them up, and move them and repiece them with other ones because they just grow all different ways. So Stephen P said it's cool that Aqua Rocks will actually pick out individual hardscapes for you based on your tank and send you pics and stuff. Gotta be a lot of work. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, they're willing to do it. They have someone there to do it. They're actually knowledgeable and able to do that. And some warehouses, the people that work there don't work for, you know, they don't know those products as well. Like, they're just like Amazon people that don't know every product, but they're there efficiently working, you know.
And I'll also say this, that warehouse was laid out the right way. Like, it was done right so that they can do stuff like that. And it's a great business plan.
Yeah, they have it all like open. You can see everything.
Plenty of room. I
enjoyed their facility. It was really cool.
For it being the next exit, and I was willing to drive like 20 minutes out of our way, if not longer. I don't know how much further out of my way I would have been willing to go for it. But yeah, that was so convenient and such a nice cherry on top to our Denver trip. Well, I mean, that was like the whipped cream, and then the cherry on top was In-N-Out right after that, right?
Yeah, that it was the next exit. How do you get that? Skipper said, what is the best aquarium heater?
So, Aqua L makes some incredible aquarium heaters.
You got 3 tops you can't go wrong with. You got Seche, Aqua L, and Fluval. Those 3 make good heaters.
Yeah.
Any of their heaters have been really good. Just don't buy some janky one off of Amazon. Most people that complain about their heaters are like, they bought something off of Amazon or Temu and expected it. There are some that, like, I mean, you'll always have them. These are made by thousands, so you'll always have a few in between that will just malfunction. They can't. Machines are still not perfect to this day, so there'll always be some that will malfunction. But those 3 tops are ones that we've personally had. I mean, what are the ones in those tanks over there that have been running almost bare bone tanks?
Those are Cobalt, but they're made by Aqua L.
So those things last forever.
I thought you were going to say Cobalt, but then you said Seche. I'm so proud of you. I don't think I would have even thought of Seche. And the Seche heaters,
it's just their products. They make everything to be they're a little bit more expensive. But they're higher quality, so
I haven't
you
used
really
them. But some of the features that come on the Seche heaters, they're very, very nice.
Hello, couplets.
Might have to change that in the near future.
Yeah. Johnny said, "Is Pisces a large shipping distributor?" Yes, pretty much. So they distribute it out to stores. They're still looking for distributors to distribute out their products better. They're still fairly new to the United States, so. Johnny said, Shelby, thanks for calling Temu heaters. Oh, Lord, they suck. Yeah. It just, I mean, there's people that are like promoting Temu and stuff, which, you know, is all fine and dandy if you're getting paid for it. But, like, I just can't stand these YouTubers and people that are getting famous off of promoting things that aren't great. They're not going to last.
Some really great cheap stuff on Temu, but it's like disposable stuff that if you lose or if it breaks,
it's not for animals.
And if you have like a one-time project where you just know you're never going to go back to that anyways, then yeah, Temu has some great stuff.
Like our TDS pins, they come from Amazon. I mean, I wouldn't mind buying them off of Temu, but like, we know what they're for and what we're going to get our use out of them. But
your batteries might not last very long.
You know, it's not going to kill my fish. It's not going to kill my shrimp. It's not for the livelihood of my,
I would get like magnetic scrapers off of Temu. Those probably would be all right.
I know. Sweet. I just got 5 free Aqua L heaters. That's a score.
I don't know how you got that, but
that's awesome. Jealous. So another question: do shrimp really need heaters?
No. The Sulawesi shrimp do. That's the only reason why we have any heaters in the entire house.
Bugsy. Grant, are you still coming up to speak for BCAS up in PA?
Yeah, I believe that's like June 8th or June 6th. It's one of those days. It's a Thursday.
Whatever date the meeting is.
Yeah, and I need to message Christine and plan something else at Capital Exotics as well.
That'd be nice. Ooh, get me a spot to scape a tank for them. I don't know if they have anywhere for that.
Scape.
No, only me.
Scape, I'll do a talk. I'll do a shrimp talk.
That sounds good, and then you can throw your shrimp in the scape.
I'll just talk crap about your scape the whole talk. You're really gonna put that rock there, Shelby? Turn it 13 degrees.
I'm actually struggling. Like, I've been really good and able to do the scapes. Like, I think my scape that unfortunately is floating a little bit was like one of my nicer scapes that I've done recently. My little tank that he scaped is kind of cute. It just, it's pretty basic, but I started a new scape with some new product and was super excited, super stoked, and moved it and completely collapsed my entire tank, and it just won't go back.
The new one or the old one?
The old one, and the new one's just not looking right. Which means I'm gonna have to break it again to try again. So Guplet says, when is the BCAS happening? I can attend. That's not too far away from Morgantown, where I'm located. Yes, it's pretty close. So it will be, I think their meetings are on a Thursday. I don't know. It's on June. Oh, can you just go check she's drooling.
Okay.
But can you go check the calendar while you're up?
Yeah.
I will get him to get the date because it's on the calendar. I know it's in June. Yeah. I know it's in June because that's my birthday month, and that's when I was like, all right, that's fine to travel and go do something. It'd be nice. The talks are more rewarding for me because, like, we actually get to go do something, unlike the shows. When we go do a show, it's, like, pretty rare. Like, the only exciting thing we get to do in that area is, like, go try new food, because you have to eat. So it's like, that's our thing. We'll go find new Indian food or new Thai food or some really good June 5th. Thank you, Scotty. Scotty got it at the same time. You both said it the same way. It's June 5th. But when we go do the talks, we actually get to talk for like an hour, go to the meeting, but then we get like to spend like a whole day at the place usually. So it's really nice. That's why I was like, oh, June's a good time. The kids will be out of school. We'll be able to enjoy it. Hopefully they're out of school by then. I just thought about that. Hurricane season comes up. Sometimes school gets prolonged. Let's hope so. I haven't looked at the menu. Wong says, Temu is good for airline, Tumi, and sponge filters. Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. I think my father had purchased some stuff off of Temu for the tanks, which were fine. I think it was the sponge filters, and I was like, oh, cool. And something else. I
do think we need to wrap it up after this, though.
Okay. Grant said, what is the females to male ratio for successful shrimp breeding?
So I like 1 to 5 would be like ideal. You could do fine with 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. You just definitely don't want equal or more males than females for sure. I personally keep the best 2 or 3 males in a colony and then cull the uglier ones after that. So.
All right. Well, we are going to call it a night. Thank you, everyone who suffered with me and watched this topic. Hopefully you got some valuable information out of it. And till next week. Yes, we will be here next week, right? Yes. Yeah. We will be here next week. Last question real quick. What color substrate do Ocean Blue look the best on?
I like them on the grayish kind of Carib Sea samurai soil, but they look great on a crushed coral also, or a white substrate too.
White sand, to me, it looks really pretty. They really do pop really well. So I enjoy that a lot. Thank you everyone so much. Have a good night.